Satcitananda. Been thinking about that a lot. It means Being-Consciousness-Bliss. So I was sitting here and I was just kind of like soaking up the sun and meditating, and I was praying for the earth in a way, but more like I'd say like trying to send positive energy into the earth and then receive also positive energy from the earth, and trying to touch some new dimensions of existence. And anyways, basically Satcitananda, I was thinking about that, and first thing that came to my mind was that Satcitananda, so being would be your lower being, Chit would be your heart or your Christ consciousness, and then Ananda would be your indigo ray body or your bliss body, and Satcitananda would be the merging or using of all of those together to create consciousness, and or more to create perception in consciousness, because it all arises from consciousness. And anyways, Satcitananda, I was also thinking about the different bodies in the like not just the human experience, but just all the different bodies that make up this conscious experience. And the bodies that I was recognizing were obviously my physical body, because it's like pretty cold, and there's snow, and I'm walking around for the most part. Like, I walk around barefoot as well in the snow, but not for that long because it's pretty cold. But I've gotten better at it. It's more of like the energy that comes into you is different whenever it's coming from, like, I don't know, like the temperature really makes a difference in the way that it is absorbed in the body. And it seems that with cold, you feel a lot better afterwards. So it's like, it's about putting yourself through that experience of discomfort in order to feel more comfort afterwards than you would have felt before. And it's a lasting comfort, so it's not like anything, it lasts for a good minute. And by a good minute I mean like the entire day. But honestly, so the physical body, and then you have the etheric body, and then you have the mental body, and then you have these other lesser types of etheric bodies, like the light body, and like the bliss body is what Hindu traditions call it, which is like basically the indigo ray or the pineal gland activating and causing a lot of changes in perception. And I was thinking about these different bodies, because Satcitananda, being consciousness bliss, I was thinking also to being, like, what does it mean to be? What do I mean by that? I mean more like I don't mean what does it mean to be, like why, like, it's like why are we here? And then like beyond that, it's like it doesn't matter why we're here, but like I'm still here, so what's going on? Like, if you start to look at everything from this like baby point of view, then everything becomes really mystical, and it becomes like there's this innocence to everything where there's not any labels put to it, and there's this like really beautiful essence to that it just feels so much more just right than it's ever felt to be in an ego state, or like a really, really, really caught up ego state of like just seeing the world the same way all the time and never expecting for anything to be different. But the crazy thing is that the difference is not in the physical world, but it's your perception of the physical world. So it's like the way that you look at the world is actually the only thing that changes the world. The world is always changing all the time physically, but you're perceiving it the same way, so it stays the same for you. But consciousness is not like static like physical things. It's not as solid as it seems. Consciousness is always changing, and it's always turning into something else, just for the sake of being something else, because it's always dynamic, and it's something that it's accommodating for everything rather than just one thing. But let's go back to Satcitananda. Satcitananda. What else does that mean? So chit, the activating of the heart, the consciousness or bliss body. Basically, what that is a movement of a lot of things. Okay, we'll start with... Okay, so I was going to say it's a shift in perception, first of all, but it's also a movement of energy where you become conscious of the energy that is inside of you, and you start to consciously move it up. A lot of people call it Kundalini energy, a lot of people call it life force energy, but it's basically once it starts to move up in your body, you become more active in everything. Meaning you become actively aware. So you may not become more active, but you become a lot more aware. And that in turn, a lot of times will trigger an activity in you. Because once you start to kind of like drop the labels on everything, then it seems that consciousness seems to move you through to different things rather than you kind of like consciously putting it there. But you are consciously putting it there by like manifesting it. But what I mean is that like everything won't have such a heavy burden to it because you don't have to put any energy into doing anything, because the thing is being done through you. So it's basically like there's an infinite source of energy because it does things through things. So the same energy that makes up the entirety of everything also makes up you, which means that that same energy that's moving around can be tapped into by you and used for whatever creative purpose that you want, or whatever anything that you want to manifest. It's more of like you don't want to manifest anything that's of a lower vibration, because you'll understand the consequences that kind of puts onto your psyche. And like every single decision that you decide to make lays an imprint in your psyche, and then that imprint is kind of like referred back to more and more the more that you do it. And that's what people call habits, but it's more than a habit. After a while it becomes almost just an automatic reaction, or a state of being rather than a reaction. And that's when it becomes really dangerous, because then people start to believe the thoughts that they're thinking more and more and more, and then they make up a story of what they are, and just cause kind of like continuous suffering for themselves from doing that. So Satcitananda, going back to it again, Sat being the root being, or just beingness. Chit is the awakening, in my mind, of a Christ consciousness. Or what I mean by Christ consciousness is not anything religious. What I mean is it's this state of consciousness where you are unconditionally compassionate and loving to everything that you see, and you know that everything has life to it, and everything is one thing being done through itself to itself. So Ananda being the awakening of the infinite consciousness, or the intelligent infinity, or the awakening of the indigo ray body, is the way that I'm perceiving Ananda, or the Sanskrit word for bliss. And I think that what that is a feeling of ultimate connectedness with everything around you, through you, and to you, mixed with a feeling of euphoric gratitude and ultimate understanding that everything is divinely perfect, all mixed into one feeling, or two feelings, or however many feelings you want to interpret it as being. It's all one thing. It's all like, every consciousness is really like, all of this is just one blob of experience. It's the past isn't real. The past is something that you imagine, and that's why when you think back on things, especially if you have multiple people and you both think back on the same memory, you can both have different feelings about the same memory, and you can remember it two completely different ways, because the memories are not true. They're something that you're manufacturing in order to put together a story of your entire life and your past existence. So in order to upkeep who you are right now, you have to have a past. So you make that up every moment of your existence in order to keep your ego up. And doing that expends a lot of energy. So once you stop needing to do that so much, or you start noticing all of the different ego identities that you have, and you pick which ones that you don't want, which is going to end up being all of them, after you've let go of most of them, then you realize how much better you feel. They kind of seem like personalities sometimes. They can seem like unconscious reactions. They can seem like anything that basically you associate with being a part of yourself, or like anything like that. Anyways, so basically, like, once you shed that ego identity, then consciousness has a much easier time flowing through you, and it starts to basically move you to do things more and more and more. Ananda, Satcitananda, Ananda being bliss, also coincides with the opening of all of your chakras. So basically the root, sacral, solar plexus. Once you get to the heart, you start to have a new perception on everything. You start to perceive the world differently. You start to see that everything is one with you, and that you are one with everything, and that everything is a reflection of your own consciousness being shown to you from a different perspective. And everything is one beingness being done through multiple lenses or multiple perspectives. So it's like it's all one thing. But you also, that's a lot of times associated with the opening of your indigo ray also. But the difference with the heart, because you can open your indigo ray without accessing your heart, and when that happens, there's a lot of different things that happen. You start to experience a lot of fear and anxiety and stuff like that. But also, if you can get over that, then you do also see the oneness of everything, and you start trying to manipulate everything through the fact that you know that you're one with everything and other people are unconscious to that. But with the heart, there's an element of love mixed in with that. And what that element of love is basically it's this knowing that this is all for your, it's all meant for your being. It's like a present for you. That's why they call it the present moment, is because it's sacredly divine in such a beautiful way that it's inarticulate. Like, you can't articulate it, but you can feel it, and you can show it through your actions, and not even your actions, just your aura, just you being there can show this element of life that a lot of people are blind to. And it's just seeing this beauty surrounding everything. And it's just a different dimension of life. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you feel so much love for everything, because you know that if you don't love everything, then you don't love yourself. And then who doesn't want to love themselves? You know? Like, you have to love everything in order to love yourself, because you're a part of everything. But you don't have to, but it just feels so good to do that I personally just feel like there's nothing else to do. Like, other than love, like, as much as you can. Even the things that you feel like, even when things make you really, really upset, or they pull up these like aggravated feelings or anything like that, like, you love those feelings too, because those are all part of this experience, and it's all there for your learning and for your enjoyment. It's just this other dimension of seeing things, you know. And so then there's also the throat. So throat is the expression, or like your ability to express yourself, you know, like your self-expression. And that could be in so many different ways. It could be through talking. If you look at, you see how that turns blue, and then when you get to the heart, it's green. Isn't that weird? Blue. Is it gonna go indigo? No, still blue. Very interesting though. That was just me noticing it in the camera. But yeah, I guess that was about all I needed to really explain, I guess. Being-Consciousness-Bliss, you know? Satcitananda. Yeah, meditating on that's pretty interesting, and it just brings up a lot of feelings. And honestly, just sitting under the tree and looking at everything, just seeing the beauty of everything is absolutely amazing. Like, I was crying with like tears of amazement again. Like it just it happens whenever I look at nature, and I stop thinking about everything, you know? Like I just stop thinking about the normality of life, and then I see the beauty in just the innocence of nature, you know? Like it's just beautiful to me. Anyways, I think this is a long enough video, but Satcitananda, I hope you guys have a really good day, and